Okay, I call this meeting of May 22, 2024 of the Board of Equalization of Albemarle County to order. My name is Evan Mayo. I am the interim chair to our elections today. Could the new Board of Equalization members who have joined for this year please introduce themselves? Give a little bit, maybe a few sentences about your background with real estate in Albemarle County.
My name is Len Mayu. I've been a real estate agent for the last 35 years. I'm sort of semi-retired, but still active, have an active license. I've lived and I'm with Real Estate 3. I've been in Charlottesville for almost 50 years. And I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
My name is David Mitchell. I have been here about 20 years, moved from Richmond. I'm a general contractor and developer. My employer is Great Eastern Management. We're a apartment shopping centers development. Kind of everything across the gamut.
Thank you.
I'm Dave Norford. Been here all my life, live and farm out in the Stony Point area. And we own some farms and lease some farms out in that area.
Thank you, David. And Bob, would you like to introduce yourself to the other folks who you don't know already?
Yeah, my name is Bob Beard, excuse me. I have a cold, been in Africa for a couple of weeks. Live in Ivy. I'm a retired journalist, and right now I'm a real estate investor.
I guess I should say also, I am an attorney in Charlottesville. I've been here for about 12 years. So I came to UVA to go to law school, and I'm a real estate investor as well. And this will be my third year on the board. Okay, so you all have in front of you a copy of the minutes from the last meeting, which was held on December 5th, 2023. Obviously, only Bob and I here from that period. I don't think any of you were in the audience, but we should vote to approve the minutes, and everyone gets a vote on that. So I would call for, is there a motion to approve them?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All right, and then all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thank you. So then we'll need to elect officers for the year to come. I'll give a very brief rundown. I think if you haven't had the training already, there's a little bit of information about the training, in the training, and then also the rules of procedure. But basically the chair sort of expedites the meeting and is responsible for interfacing most often with the members of the public, calling the cases, and also sort of maintaining what I'll call clock discipline. These do tend to run long if you don't give people an update on how close they're getting to the end of their time. The vice chair has all of those responsibilities when the chair is not available, also calling for votes for the chair. And it seemed like that happened at least once last year or the year before. So being capable of filling in those circumstances is important. Secretary is the third role that we have on the Board of Equalization. That one I've done before, and I will say that it does require pretty close attention to numbers and getting them exactly right, although the staff here is really good about cross-checking and maintaining an independent record. But if you maybe transpose numbers from time to time, that might be a tricky one because you're hearing a lot of like 6- and 7-digit numbers aloud. And I did that a time or two. So with that background, does anyone want to volunteer to be the chair for this coming calendar year, or I guess mid-calendar year to mid-calendar year?
I volunteer to be vice chair.
Okay, you can go out of order.
Yeah.
Anyone else would like to put their name forward for chair or vice chair? So I will be willing to be considered to be the chair if you all would like me to. And then what about secretary?
And Mr. Mayo, just to add, we we create a kind of a blanket meeting minutes. So we, just to make it easier for the secretary, just to kind of mark the things, you don't have to keep everything. You just have to mark, who's voted which way and stuff like that.
That's a good point. They do a very good job of making it sort of fill in the blank exercise, and filling in the blanks as long as you can record the numbers, not too difficult. So anybody feel convicted about being the secretary?
I'll volunteer.
I was about to volunteer you. so- Thank you. Okay. So then, is there a motion to nominate someone for chair?
I move we nominate Evan Mayo as chair of the Board of Equalization.
Thank you, Bob. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, David. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Evan will serve as the chair of the Board of Equalization for the upcoming year. Is there a motion to nominate someone for vice chair?
I make a motion to recommend Bob Beard as vice chair.
Thank you, Lynn. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. All opposed? Okay. Bob will serve as vice chair. Thank you for your service, Bob. And is there a motion to nominate any of the members of the Board of Equalization for secretary? I will move to nominate Dave Mitchell as secretary. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Lynn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye as well for me. All opposed? Okay, unanimous. Thank you for your service as well, Dave. Should we do just a brief introduction from the members of the assessor's office?
Oh, excellent, excellent. Yes. So I'm Peter Lynch. I'm the county assessor. I know most of you. And I will be here at all of the meetings unless there's some emergency. And, I don't actually do the assessments at the appraisal level on any property, but I supervise and approve all the work that's done in the office, including land use. So I'm kind of at the top of the list. Billy Taylor is my deputy, so she would fill in if I was not here for some reason, but she's going to be here at all the meetings anyway. She and Lewis Herndon supervise appraisal staff directly. So if a property is under review, the specific appraiser who appraised that property will be here. That might be Lewis or Billy, or it most likely would be another appraiser. And they will be here if one of their appraisers are involved in the appeal. Deb Collier is our commercial appraiser. So she will be here for any commercial property appeals. And she'll be able to provide kind of that level of commercial information or valuation expertise for those appeals. And Sheila Conrad is our administrative staff who will do the administrative support, or at least manage the administrative support with her staff under her. So that is everybody from my office. And then now Eric Keene, he's not here right now, but he will be here for any land use related appeals. And we have, I believe, 4 of those this year for the first time. And so he will be able to speak to the issues when it comes to land use.
Could you give maybe that maybe land use may mean different things to appraisers and attorneys? Could you give a little more color?
Absolutely. So land use in this sense is the agriculture, forestry, use value taxation determinations. And that can be complex past the point of, is the person actually doing farming on a property, but it could relate to how many acres are they doing that activity on, and how do the statutes apply in the program that they're doing, so for minimum acreages or any other requirements. So, and we will certainly explain all of those components that would apply to any specific property under appeal.
Thank you, sir. Okay. We have discussed that land use appeals that are in front of the board this year. We've got those. Will those be allotted the same amount of time and same procedure?
Yes, and just to make it clear, when there's an appeal on a property, even if the issue that they're raising is use value qualification, we've done an entire review of their property. So we're looking at the improvements, doing an inspection to make sure that our assessment is correct. At the same time, we're reviewing the qualification question.
Got it.
So we will present everything when it comes to that. They might only be interested in that qualification part.
Okay, I understand.
So just to be, that wasn't last year, this is a new thing.
This is a new thing only because nobody has appealed to this board for that in the past. And honestly, I wasn't even sure they could until now.
You've had perfect determinations up.
Exactly.
Yes.
Overview and discuss rules of procedure, discuss request to require interior inspections. So did everyone get a copy of the 6-page Word document from Mr. Lynch by email? Have a chance to review those? So as you may have heard, this is a set of procedures that were used historically, and the version that we have in front of us to consider today is the version that was adopted by the board on June 2, 2023. So almost a year ago. I would say these are the shortest set of rules of procedure I've ever seen. I think there's, what we do here. Yeah, exactly. It looks good. I would vote to accept these, or I would move to accept these to adopt them for the upcoming year.
Second. Discuss the request for interior inspection, because right now it's
To be included.
to, yes.
Okay, got it.
So,
Yes, since does that request come from staff?
yes.
Okay, so I think it would be great if staff could give the overview and explain maybe the history and
Okay.
the nature of the request.
All right, so when we do, obviously, we do not get inside the improvements inside the homes of every property that we assess. However, when we have a review or an appeal, and I use those terms, review for an internal review request and appeal for an appeal to the Board of Equalization. So whenever we have something at those levels, we believe that there's a little higher requirement for what should be done to check, to confirm that those values are accurate. Despite the fact that we don't get into it all the time for every property, if the property owner doesn't agree with our value, we believe that an interior inspection is appropriate at that time. Now, we always get into commercial properties because they're generally open to access anyway, but getting into a home is different. And so at the
Clarify a question.
Sure.
So this, when you say a review process
Mhm.
or an appeal,
correct.
that's if an owner asks.
This is
It's not like,
request.
I'm just gonna pick a couple of these houses. and-
Oh, yes, yeah, thank you for that. So, we're talking about a review or request requested by the owner.
Okay.
So, this is, so they want us to review the back. And, so in that case, we believe that an interior inspection is the best way to confirm that our information is correct. So in the past, we've had, it suggested that just interior photos would be sufficient, but we have found in the operation of our work that that we can get interior photos that will show just about anything. I mean, we can get just ones that show damage or poor quality, but we can also get ones that just show, I mean, they can be kind of shown, it's skewed to show what the person's trying to show us. So if we get an interior inspection done, we can see what we need to see. We're only looking for condition, quality, stuff like that, to confirm that the description that we currently have on the property, which is the basis of the value, is correct. So that's why we feel that the interior inspections are appropriate at this level.
When you do your initial appraisals or adjustments,
Mhm.
how do you apply the condition at that time? Say before anybody makes an appeal, is it look at the age of it? How do you apply that metric now?
So we will go by, if we visit the property and we can ask the owner if they're there to answer questions. So we'll ask them questions that will tell us what the condition is, or they might invite us in occasionally. Otherwise, we look at the exterior of the property and determine what that condition is, which is the kind of the second best, but not always completely accurate.
When you say we, do you mean your side?
My staff,
Your side.
my staff, yes,
So this is when you're doing the actual assessment.
that is correct. And so the condition will be, generally when we're talking about condition, we are saying that it's an average condition if it's the condition of the property appears to be average for the age of that property. So if it's a 1940s house, the condition that's average will be a 1940s house average condition. Brand new house is the average is to be brand new. So when we were talking about good or excellent, those are renovation type conditions where kitchens and bathrooms have been updated or there's a full gut of a property. And that's the first one of that was good and the full gut was excellent. So those things may come about when we do a permit and we find that that work has been done. Or it may be that, sometimes that work isn't done by a permit. So there can be some follow-up on that. But we have just found that interior inspection, and in light of the fact that they're requesting this review is appropriate. Now, we do require that on the review. But the board has decided 2 years ago that they would not require an interior inspection for the appeal. And that they would make the determination, based on what was presented.
Say that again, the board decided 2 years ago
That
not to require.
not to require an interior inspection. So I just want to bring it back
So
up
in
to,
the past, if somebody appealed it and you did your internal review.
Mhm.
what
Don't
did
you- don't you
what
have
did
to-
do?
For you to do a review, do they have to do a review before you do an appeal?
They don't have to. Now, we will still review the property. The review process is its own time period and process. If they skip that and go straight to you, we still get the request and we still follow up and ask to do an inspection and.
But you can't require an interior.
Correct, for that part of it, correct.
Okay.
And if they didn't allow us into the property or inside the building, we would just let you know that. We reviewed the property from the exterior, and this is what we found. Now of course, there was one in the past who wouldn't even let us on the property at all. Just look at it from the street. So
Well,
there's a variation of what we run into.
I feel like if they make an appeal or they ask you to review it, I don't think you're right. It's before the appeal.
Mhm.
And then they refuse to allow you to get into the building. They're undercutting their argument
Yeah,
with you, and I don't know. So that's their choice.
Correct.
And then same thing with the appeal. They're not going to let you on the property look inside. You're going to come to us and say, hey, they claim that it's this, but we don't know because we haven't been in there. And yes, they've got pictures and we're smart enough to know that people can, real estate agents know how to. I'm very good. I get to say that. So. I mean, they're cutting off their own legs if they don't let you in. So I'm hesitant to say you have to let you
And that's fine. I just
That's
I
my
don't want to
opinion
raise the issue
over
here.
Yeah, so I'll try to summarize some of the ideas that were brought up last time, all of which I think had value. Some people said maybe there's a difference between people who are contending that there is a mistake where interior condition would be implicated versus there have definitely been types of appeals in the past where they were contesting, for example, like how much of the property was in critical slope or something like that, or what its development potential was. Where raw land, for example, where there would be no interior inspection. There's also been appeals where someone contested that the grade was wrong, or the condition was wrong, stuff that clearly would be affected by an interior inspection, and they declined to let people inspect. One idea we considered was publishing a information to prospective appellants that said a refusal to allow inspection may be construed against you at the BOE stage. And I don't think that ultimately carried, but it's something we talked about doing. I think there's really good arguments on both sides, but personally, I'm concerned about the chilling effect that this would have on potential appeals. I think there could be a lot of really justifiable reasons why a person might not want a third party to come into their home. This was especially acute 2 years ago during still the tail end of the COVID pandemic. And I'm concerned that there may be meritorious appeals that would not be filed out of a concern that an inspection was required. And so that tends to be the strongest argument for me, giving full faith and credit to the inspector's office or the appraiser's office, who I hear saying we could do a better job, or we could give you guys fuller information if we were allowed to require this. So that's my thoughts on it.
If I can have one more thing. And I said this in relation to the land use. When we get an appeal, sometimes it is very specific. I don't agree with my land value, or like you said, the slope is, I don't think the value is low enough because of the slope. But we look at every aspect of the value, no matter what the appeal is based on. And that's the only way to do this holistically, to really achieve what we're trying to do, is get the value to be right. Because maybe they're picking a specific thing, but something else that would lower the value, but something else would increase the value that we're not aware of. And we don't want to end up, or you end up lowering the value, and eventually that property selling for a lot more just because we were unaware of something that that wasn't obvious.
The thing you said about putting out a list of bullet points when you make the appeal or whatever. I liked everything you said except for the last part where it'd be construed against you. Just say we may request to get inside, but if you don't provide that access, it could just say it could impact you.
Yeah, I think
the
that's
results.
appropriate, not necessarily that it would. Right. And to be clear, like, the assessor's office is asking for the option to inspect. We can also, as the board, ask for an inspection, and they can decide whether or not to allow us to do it. So there is kind of a second level there. I would say generally, I feel like the appraiser's office is better situated to do the inspections than me or us, not for a number of reasons, but primarily expediency and experience. But that is something worth noting, is there could be a situation where a request was denied for the appraiser's office or the assessor's office to go inside, and they might grant it to us, or we could at least make a second request if we felt like it was really important. So,
Mr. Mayo, your ability to get on the property is guaranteed. It's not up to the property owner to, the state law says that you will have access, I believe.
If they make
If they make an appeal, yeah.
so I was just
Yeah.
looking at this a moment ago, if I didn't understand it. Request, I see, request by taxpayers for the BOE members to personally inspect a property. If the majority agrees, then we can do it.
Are you talking about in the rules of
8.6
procedure?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking about the state law requirement.
But this,
is that,
that doesn't allow interior inspection, does it? I thought we talked about that being an exterior only.
okay, I don't
I don't
remember that.
remember. I thought that was true, but I could be wrong. That's a question worth following up on. I guess like before we vote on this, and maybe there's more discussion that should be had, I do want to raise a question about whether we complied with the notice provisions for changing the rules.
That, I was gonna raise that also. I mean, I included in an earlier email, but I don't think the 3 members were even appointed yet when I included that. So it's possible that you actually approved this in your first meeting. Whatever you come up with today to satisfy that requirement.
Okay. I think what I would recommend and what would be helpful to me in terms of getting this into a condition where we could go thumbs up, thumbs down would be if staff would provide recommended language as like a red line
Okay.
to the rules of procedure so that we could see exactly what was proposed.
Okay.
And then we could vote to accept or deny or modify.
Okay.
That way we're in perfect alignment and we're not saying yes to something that we think is what you've asked for, and it turns out maybe the way it's drafted isn't exactly the same.
Okay,
Does that work?
absolutely. That would be the clearest way.
Related to just internal inspection.
Yes. I kind of wonder also if, I mean, do the rules of procedure for the Board of Equalization really govern what the assessor's office can do? I mean, aren't we only involved in this like once the, so do you inspect once you get the notice of appeal? Okay,
Correct.
okay, okay, got it.
I'm a little behind on, but the current rules by the BOE is that we don't require for a appeal.
That is correct.
Do we have to, if we don't do anything, does that just keep going, or do we need to adopt that?
If you don't do anything, well, you need to adopt, even if there's no changes.
Okay, we just need to
I
adopt.
believe you need to
Okay.
adopt
Okay.
the rules. Now, if there are no changes, you can adopt it today.
Yeah, I think that the staff has made a compelling enough case that I would at least like to review what their proposed language is before making a final decision on it. But but if people want to, if someone wants to move to call the question and vote on it now, we could do that.
I wouldn't be comfortable voting on it right now.
Okay. So I would move to table it to the next meeting to permit staff an opportunity to submit redlined version of the DOE rules. Is there a second for that?
I'll second that.
Well, until then, we're operating under the ones you passed back in the last meeting.
I believe by default, they would just apply.
Yes, they continue. Okay, all in favor of tabling the vote to modify the rules to include an interior inspection requirement by the appraiser's office? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Do you feel like you have everything you guys need to?
I believe so.
Okay,
Yes.
and then do we
Yeah.
need,
Also, while you're on that, you said, was it 2 years ago, I believe, the 30-minute hearing schedule
Mhm.
so that, what is it? 14 minutes, 30, what are the numbers? I can't remember.
think it's at 3.
Ten.
Right, 10-7-3. So is that schedule still good? And I would recommend that you stay on the 30-minute schedule.
Yeah.
Based on your.
Yes.
Oh, man.
That's fine. with me.
Trying to recall if we had any. So I think that I would vote to continue the 30-minute schedule, but should we consider including just a few minutes of buffer time in between? Do you remember that we scheduled them like back to back?
How did that work last year? I thought it worked pretty well, actually.
We tried to, we set 30-minute time slots and we tried to, at a certain point, 15-minute break just to
as a buffer. You could, that
In-
15 minute could go less if you got.
Yeah, in the middle of the morning, in the middle after the
Right.
afternoon, we did. And that's the other
For all.
question here. Now, we recommend that you do full day hearings, but that's something you need to agree to also, or just know that that's what's included in this.
So I think it's very difficult to align 5 schedules, as you all know. And I think doing it, 3 or 4 times is easier than 6 or 8, but open to arguments for doing it differently. The one concern I had about the no time in between is that when we did get behind, it was very difficult to catch up until we hit one of those 15-minute breaks. And I felt sometimes like, well, if you happen to be the 4th person who's late and we say we're running a little behind, maybe that's not quite fair. Especially if the first person got 35 minutes or 33 minutes, but I understand the argument for doing it differently. Is there a motion to adjust the allocation of time from 10, 7, 3, 10 minutes of discussion? Okay. So I guess we'll stick with that.
Okay.
What was the buffer?
There was no buffer.
No, I mean,
Well,
she was saying,
we had a 15-minute break in the middle of the morning.
Yes.
And then we had a 15-minute break, and then there was a lunch break, and then there was a 15-minute break in the middle.
We had a full day schedule.
Yeah.
Started late.
Yeah.
Yes, and just to circle back for one more moment, I hate to move backwards on the agenda. The red line must be provided to all the 5 of us at least 2 weeks ahead of the next meeting, right?
Correct.
Okay. Very good. Any other potential revisions to the rules of procedure that anyone would like to make? Okay, so we'll defer voting on that until the next meeting. Westminster Canterbury request for a longer hearing time. How long did they request?
She didn't say specifically, but I will bring it up just to make sure.
Bob, do you recall whether last year, was it like 2 hours?
I believe it was around 2 hours, yeah. 1.5 to 2 hours. Is it essentially the same issues this year?
I do not believe that our attorney's going to be here this time. In the court reporter. I think it's just going to be the Westminster Canterbury, the CFO, and maybe others from the organization. And so I don't.
what kind of information do they provide to us ahead of time?
Well, they provide their everything ahead of time. I think there might have been one thing that provided that day, one thing extra they brought that same day, but pretty much the entire argument is provided. The appraisal, everything.
We get packets,
Correct.
a chance to get a spreadsheet.
They have plenty.
Whatever
Excel
they,
spreadsheet.
whatever they provide, we give to you, so it's possible they have spreadsheets with, different data on it. I know they had spreadsheets with their occupancy and all that kind of stuff to show their income.
So I will say, having sat through one of these before, I think less than 2 hours would be more appropriate. I'll just say that every business thinks they're exceptional, and there are exceptional aspects to every business, but we simply couldn't accommodate a 2-hour time block for all of the businesses that file appeals. And I think, everyone else gets 30 minutes. If the argument can't be made in an hour, I kind of question whether it can be made in 2 hours. And especially given the volume of documents that are submitted ahead of time, I think that Westminster Canterbury is already getting quite a bit of attention beyond the normal from the BOE members. So, I would potentially be in favor of like an hour, but I would vote against the 2-hour block if that's indeed what was requested.
What's historically beyond them last year. I mean, how often is this?
Have they come to the board?
Not them, just anybody else, like other requests for longer periods. of time. How often?
I believe there has only been one other request. I mean, so just to set the stage, up to 2 years, before 2 years ago, we had hour hearings for everyone. Now, some of those lasted 10 minutes. And then there was just a big break before the next one. And, you know, quite often, it doesn't matter how much time you give the applicant, they will fill it and they will repeat a lot. And that caused me to repeat a lot, but unfortunately.
So is this a new appeal or is it carryover from last year?
It's a new appeal of this year's, but it's similar, I would say, to last year. I don't want to put any words in their mouth, but
It's
you
the
know,
third time they've been before.
is it the third? I know it's at least the second.
Can I ask what the results were of the last? I think what did you do? What y'all just, public records, I guess.
Yeah, I thought, you know, yeah, so you did lower the value, I believe, because it's functional oscillations on the nurse age or the,
Something.
I can't remember exactly what the issue was, that it was reduced based on. Oh, I know what it was. I know exactly what it was. Yes. So the Westminster Canterbury is basically apartment units and a nursing home and assisted living. And then there are these villas out front that are detached or duplex houses. If we were to have a if you were to have a property like your property that had multiple houses on it that were actual multiple dwellings, we would have a reduced 20% on the second dwelling, second or third or fourth, because of the inability, you know, to get as much money for that second home. It's not as valuable as having a single house on it.
But you have to sell it all.
You have to sell it all together, exactly. So based on that, normally we would put 20%. So we actually had that, in my mind, mistakenly on those cottages in the past, and we took it off prior to last year. The board voted to include a 10% reduction on those units instead of no adjustment, which is what we had changed to. So the 10% change on those is what caused the value change.
Just looking at the minutes, we reduced the improvements by about $7 million, which was a total reduction of maybe like 4.5%. And I will say that the meeting began at 9 a.m. and it ended at 1:14 p.m.
Was it all focused on that one item?
It was the only hearing.
No.
It was focused on everything, on everything. And honestly, that was one thing I remember. There, if it was 7 million, there might have been more to it than that.
It seems like
It was 100.
It was presented just like a court case with the attorney laying everything out very, very carefully.
And we did have a lunch in there, but I mean, it was at least 3 hours of meeting.
I'm okay with that.
And oh, I did bring up the email and WCBR requests a larger time allotment to discuss the complex property. So she does
They
not
didn't say
indicate an
time.
amount.
They didn't give you that.
No.
They didn't give you.
She didn't say we want 2 hours or 4 hours. Right?
How much were they allowed last year when it took 5 hours?
I'm not sure. I think we had a specific meeting that was, they might have been the only one, or there might have
Yeah,
been
we had a
some
specific
later.
day, right?
Yeah,
Nobody else was on that day.
right.
The last day
So-
of hearing.
Right.
August 18th.
So there was no schedule after him. So it just kind of pushed as long as.
I just wondered if you call it a specific time period, if that will shorten up going over the same thing over and over again.
I believe so.
So 1 hour, maybe
I'm
the
cool.
beginning of a hearing day.
Is there another property in Albemarle County that has that type of ownership?
There are other, yeah, of that type, but not, yeah, not exactly.
I'm not sure I even understand what their ownership is.
See,
On the-
they've got.
Yeah, the ownership is just,
Is it fee simple?
it's fee simple.
It is?
no, I'm sorry, the entire property is owned by Westminster Canterbury. So everything is rented basically on a long-term contract, but I'm probably saying that wrong, so
It's one tax.
it's one taxable parcel, yes.
I don't see how that. 20% per lot, per building, because that's for a house.
Correct.
It's done.
We'll have another opportunity.
Yes.
Try not to make you go past an hour.
Every Board of Equalization may go upon and inspect any real estate subject to adjustment or.
Yeah, that's how it says it. That's how I was gonna look that up.
Yeah, someone will have to construe
May
that.
go upon it, but not inside. outside.
It doesn't say inside or
It doesn't say
exterior.
one way or the other. 58.1 33/79.
I'm upon your porch looking.
So I've got something for new business on that, but I'll wait, other business. Okay, anything else so on Westminster Canterbury, is there a vote to
I moved
accept?
for 1 hour.
Okay.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Uh,
Unanimously permitted 1 hour for Westminster Canterbury. Okay. Determine hearing date schedule for reassessment and supplemental value appeals. This part's always a little tricky. I hope you guys brought your date books or calendars. So does staff have a recommendation about the number of dates in light of the number of appeals?
I believe that we should have a similar total number of dates as we did last year.
Is this from last year?
That's last year's, yes, just so you can get an idea of what was set up last year.
These are the dates.
It would be helpful if you could set up 10 dates. Because then if for some reason one date doesn't end up working, we have more options. Quite often we use less, we never use all of the options. But also, as you'll notice on this piece of paper, these are the initial set of dates are for the reassessment, the annual reassessment values. The last 4 dates are for supplemental values. So if we pick up new construction during the year and they contest that, those would come later in the year and those can go all the way to the end of the calendar year. Last year we had 2, I believe, or 1. Yeah, so I thought it was one in November, one in December.
Yeah.
That's the first time we've had any, I think, since I've been here in 9 years. So we always set those dates up just in case somebody requests one, but we rarely ever use them.
Okay. And should we start looking in July again? I don't remember if there was a reason we did that.
I think our meeting was so late that July was really the first that you guys could meet.
Right, so it looks like the date was June 15th that we sent it out.
Right.
So we could look for dates in June.
Absolutely. And I think then also you run into the 4th of July at the beginning of
Yes.
July. So it was pushed past that. The middle of June would probably be the best time to get started if it works for your schedules.
Okay, so starting out, does anyone have any particular days of the week that never work or that always work? Monday through Friday?
Yeah, I'm away June 10th through the 16th, Monday.
Given the notice requirement, we seem to need to start looking on the 17th and after.
I'm available 17th until 28th. So not that Friday.
Right, I have on the 3rd Thursday of every month, I have another board
Okay,
in the morning,
and that
but
would
anything else is pretty much open.
be June 20th. Okay, what about for you then in June?
Yeah, in June, I think I'm pretty flexible on that. I think I'm good to work on it.
So Bob, you're out of town 10 through 16.
I'm not available on the 17th and 18th.
You say you're not available or you are? available? You're
I'm gonna
not.
be out, yeah, I'm gonna be out of town.
Okay. So June 17th is a yes for everyone, I believe.
No,
No, Mr. Beard will be out.
I have-
17th, 18th also.
Oh, okay, got it. June
I'm a
10
hospital.
through 18, no. Got it. Okay, so then starting with 19th, which I can't do. The 20th is no for Norford. 21st I cannot do. 24, June 24.
Yep.
Good.
What
Yes,
day of the week is it?
it's
Monday.
Monday.
It's
So full day one on the 24th, 9 to 5. 25th. Sure.
Yes.
If you can fit a day in between the meetings, it would be helpful for staff.
Okay. Very good.
And probably for
I'd be
your
happy to skip
recovery.
the 25th. I do have some stuff on Tuesdays, but
Okay,
so if you wanted to skip that, is that what you're saying? Skip a
Mhm.
day? So
Yes.
Monday, Wednesday.
Yes.
27th.
I don't want to schedule it and have to back out. So I can't do the 26th or the 27th. That's probably depositions. So 28th, I know you're not available. So then looking at next week, we've got July 1.
I'm going off.
There's July 4th weekend.
July, no, July 1. Okay. So July 1 through 8. So then the next one would be June. Or sorry, July 9th. Everyone can do that.
July 9th.
Which day?
July 9th.
See,
Absolutely.
Good. So skipping one day, the next one would be the 11th.
Yeah, I'm good.
Sure.
Mhm.
Can do that as well. Next, I've got Friday, cannot do, July 15th.
Yes.
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 Mr. Beard.
The 15th?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Got July 9, 11, 15, 17.
Yes.
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 It's good.
Oh, this
Yes. That's
17. Education seminar. Is it that week?
Sam's coming up. Just keep that out in mind.
Oh, I thought that was, oh, okay, it's the week after though.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
coming up.
all right, I'm sorry. I got you.
17th is good.
17 is good.
Okay, so that's day 5. I have a conflict on the 19th, 22nd.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yes.
If you go back, is it possible that is the 18th okay instead of the 17th?
18th,
18th on.
Could do the 18th.
July 18th?
Yeah.
No, I can't do that.
Oh, that's the third Thursday.
Mhm.
Sorry. Okay, that's fine.
Okay. What about July 22nd for everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
It's good.
That for you, David?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the week that we have a conference, but that this 22nd is good.
We're good, yeah.
Okay.
The Tuesday through Friday, we're gonna be in conference, almost all my staff.
Starting then again on July 29th.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yes.
Which day?
July 29th.
Monday.
Monday.
29th? Yeah. uh-huh.
So that's 7. Can't do that Thursday or that Wednesday. I could do the Friday. So August 2.
Yes.
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 It's good.
Okay. And
That's 8 dates. 2 more would be great. 2 more.
August, can't do 5th or 6th, could do 7, starting on a, well, I know can't do 7, could do 8 or 9, August 8 or 9.
Either one's good.
Same, I prefer
Eighth.
Thursday.
Maybe Thursday.
Prefer Thursday, okay.
August 8th.
One more. Week of the 12th, should we say August 12th?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
For you.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Okay,
So
That
that's
was-
10 of those dates.
so much easier than last year.
Okay, so, and just so everybody knows, the initial assessment appeals have to be done by September 1st. So that's what these meetings are for. And then it's these other additional meetings in September, October, November, and December. We just need one day, half a day, just to fit in a hearing in case one gets each month raised. Exactly.
You have to do that now?
Yes, because we need to advertise it all together.
Do you need one in September?
Correct.
Okay, I will not be back until September 25th. Full month.
Okay.
Well, I'm lying to you. The second.
I can't, I'm in trial that week, unfortunately. So that doesn't seem like we'd have one in September unless we want to accept.
That's
that
fine.
somebody-
That's fine. You can always push it to October if there's something comes up.
I mean, I 25th.
Oh, yes. Okay, so 25th, 26th, 27th.
I'm okay with those.
And any preference? This Wednesday.
26 is great.
September
Not
26th.
from flying.
Then you can listen to 3 hours of Westminster Canterbury.
That's right.
Shall we say morning or afternoon?
Morning's better for me.
So,
26.
yes, sir.
What was that?
The 26th. And then unless it, can we just look at the next week for October?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we need to allow time. I guess all the supplemental appeals will be in by then, huh?
They can show up at any time.
Right, so never playing around it. Okay. So then want to do, I do think if we put them close enough together, one may be useless.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So let's look
The
towards.
second week of October at least. Responsive.
7th or the 14th.
Probably 14th if that works for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm all right with that.
14th is Columbus Day.
It'll
We're
work.
closed.
Oh, okay.
15th then.
Okay. 15th would be work, that would work for me.
15th,
Okay.
It's a Tuesday.
15th is very good.
Yeah, okay.
So let's maybe towards the middle or early part of November. I think the kid is out of public school the 4th and the 5th, so that's probably not the best week for anybody.
Selection is too. So the week of the 11th, Veterans Day is on the 11th, so 12th or 13th.
Let's do 13, 14, or 15 in case people are away for Veterans Day. That might be.
So
Can we
Anyone
do
have a preference there?
14th?
So we're saying, what day, November 14th?
it's fine with me.
That works for me.
That's the second Thursday.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
11, 14.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
11, 14.
And
And then one in December.
4 weeks forward would be the week of the 9th. I could do almost anything that would.
We can avoid Tuesday.
Okay,
Avoid Tuesday, is that what you said?
Yeah.
9, 11, 12, or 13. Anybody got a preference?
Can we do the 12th? Does that work?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
For all of those last 4 mornings.
I did 9 to 12.
Yeah, 9 to 12. Yeah,
Those are all mornings.
yes.
What was the last one?
December 12th. Okay,
And the other ones are 8 to 6 is the times that we had last year. The original 10.
Now,
Or as long as they.
will we
need.
definitely need all 10 of those?
No, you definitely will not need all 10. Or some of them will go shorter because we don't fill them.
And we'll try to condense all the, pack in all of the appeals, to the full days. Last year, we had those days, but we didn't use 3 of them.
Right.
So, right, it's same.
When will we know which days we don't need?
We're gonna start setting up hearings pretty quickly after we get this scheduled. And filling in the blanks.
So you schedule, you publish the schedule.
We publish a
Then you
schedule.
Fill it.
We actually, we don't have to publish it first. We can immediately start filling it. We just start calling people and saying, can we put you in on at 8 o'clock on, and if there are groups like, we'll get a tax rep that has 5 different apartment complexes or something like that. We'll group them all together into 5 hearings.
okay,
There you go. Now, what are the dates again?
yes. Um,
6/24.
so it's 7,
6/24.
7, 9,
6/24, 7/9. Yeah.
7/11, 7/15. What's the next one?
17, 7/22.
Yeah, 7/29, 8/2, 8/8, 8/12, 9/26, 10/15, 10/14, 10/12, or sorry, 11/14, 12/12.
Right.
But hopefully we won't use all these supplemental days.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm hoping we don't use any, actually. That would be typical. And we will front end load as many as we can. In case, occasionally there's one who's just not available for some reason that we have to stick a little further on. So
You have to have at least 3 to have it.
3 members present, correct.
Okay, any further concerns or questions about scheduling? And I guess note that the supplemental dates are starting at 9 a.m. The full day is starting at 8 a.m., right?
Correct. And we will let,
Yes. 9 a.m. for the 4 supplementals.
the front door is not open until 8 o'clock, so we will make sure you can get in. We had one event.
I remember.
It's like, will the county supply lunch on the full days?
We will, yes. Yeah, thanks for reminding. On a full day, we set an hour aside in the schedule and we bring lunch in so that as soon as you break, lunch will be ready for you. We typically set a table on the side.
Excellent sandwiches. Thank you.
Good.
Okay, other business. Anyone have any new business to take up, a topic or a category that we haven't addressed? Okay, I have one. I would like to suggest that we write the county attorney's office and ask them for the authority to seek out an attorney that would represent the Board of Equalization. There were times on the board last year where we had a question about what we could do legally or what we were required to do legally. And the county attorney's office, I think, trying very much to be helpful, had to occasionally say, I don't represent the Board of Equalization and I cannot give you advice on that particular question. It doesn't happen often. I'm not suggesting that there's a pending question right now that we need to go out and spend money to answer, but this happened in my mind multiple times last year. And if we needed representation, I think it would be hard to get it in a hurry. And it seems to me it would make sense to just have somebody who was available if a question arose, that we could have representation instead of relying on someone who doesn't represent us. And to give you an example of like the types of issues. So one would be, whether we have the right to inspect interior or exterior. That came up today. We don't know the answer. I can't give an opinion on it. Don't know the answer, even if I wish to give an opinion. Another one would be like Freedom of Information Act compliance, you know, like what constitutes a public record of the stuff that we make here. That was another question that we had last year that we got a version of an answer from the county attorney's office. So that's kind of the case I would make for it, is to just, if it turns out that we need it and it's not ready, we won't be able to get it at that point, is my concern. And if it turns out we don't need it, then it won't cost any money, and there's, you know, we can just kind of sail through.
When we have these hearings, is there a county attorney in the room at the time?
Not usually, is there?
I'm sorry.
The county attorney, the only time he's come to the meetings is when we specifically made a request. Is that right?
Correct.
So these questions that you're saying, they came up during that or just during regular meetings?
During regular meetings, is my recollection. Is that what your recollection, Bob?
I'm sorry.
It's all right. Do you recall last year that there were a couple of questions throughout the course of the year where we said it'd be nice to have a legal opinion on that one way or the other?
Yes, yeah, there were.
And why can't they answer that question?
So the explanation that I got, and I'm just sort of repeating what I heard, is that the Board of Equalization is a distinct arm of the county government, and that the county attorney represents the Board of Supervisors specifically. And that he essentially was not authorized to offer an opinion to us as his client.
Because he doesn't know, yeah, so what I was told is he does not represent the board, he represents the county and me as the county. So that because I appear in front of the board, he can't advise me and you. That's basically
The potential conflict. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
So we would have to hire an outside counsel. I mean,
So
how would that occur?
yeah, what I would propose that we ask permission to do, and maybe the county attorney would even opine on how we could do this, is to just form a relationship with a third party to be available as needed on an hourly basis. And you know, the board would have to find some funding for that. I honestly don't know how the budgeting would go, or if they would say it couldn't be done until next year. But I fear that, you know, unless that gets in writing to someone who can make a decision on it at some point, the budget will never be created and the opportunity will never exist for us to take advantage of unless we make that, unless we affect that outcome. Yeah.
We do something somebody doesn't like as board members and we get sued, who's defending us? The county attorney?
Really good question to
So
what I would ask.
That seems like, but I mean, my point is them saying I understand the conflict issues. They could at least have somebody separate in his office
Yeah, it's
answer our questions. You know what I'm
right.
saying?
So yeah, we had this conversation last year. I had it with the county attorney's office. And they had considered somebody else in the county attorney's office answering those questions and determined that
I mean, I don't know how
wouldn't
many
be-
times I've dealt with lawyers and I've got same office, same business, same practice, and two different sides.
Right.
I don't know what our office, county attorney's office can't answer.
I don't have an answer to that, unfortunately. But I can tell you what, and Mr. Mayo has already seen this. In the code section, it says if there's no such attorney or the attorney has a conflict, the board shall make a written request to the city or county governing body to employ an attorney to advise the board. The governing body shall respond in writing within 10 days. So if you want to do that, I suggest that you all vote that you want Mr. Mayo to write the letter that we send to the county attorney for the Board of Supervisors to consider.
I wouldn't mind first requesting one of two things. Find funding and have somebody that's on call. Or assign a completely separate attorney within your office.
Correct. I think
I think I would like. I'd like
the
to
letter can
put it
say
that way.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. I think the county attorney's office does a great job. They see these issues constantly. The private practice attorney can be great, but they're, not the same as doing it every day. So either of those would be satisfactory to me, but having no one at all, I kind of feel a little out over my skis on some of the stuff. How do you feel?
You want to make a motion to what you just said?
Sure, I'm making a motion that Mr. Mayo, write a letter to request either separate representation within the county's attorney's office for the Board of Equalization, or authorize hiring an outside attorney.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, unanimously in favor of a letter to substantiate the same effect as what was articulated by Mr. Mitchell.
Is it okay in the minutes that we say that Mr. Mayo as the chair?
Yeah,
Just
sorry,
add that.
Mr. Mayo as the chair.
That sounds good. Yeah, it won't be from the desk of Evan Mayo, private.
Yes.
How many pages is that letter gonna be?
Oh, it's a one pager. Okay, any other new business? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Will we adjourn?
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Beard, seconded by Mr. Miller. All in favor?
Aye.
Right, we were adjourned at 2:36 PM.
I have a question about the training.
You can stop the recording